Game 1 is in the books. The preseason opener against the Cincinnati Bengals was a 36-19 victory for the Packers. Here's my initial reactions to the game. Overall, I think Jordan Love and the first-team offense looked pretty solid out there. He takes that deep shot on 2nd and 7 to Christian Watson. That is actually a nicely placed ball, but the safety just comes in the last second to bat it away. If, the option was there, if, as Peter Bukowski kind of pointed out on Twitter, if Watson would have run that route a little less, to the outside boundary, Love could have had an opportunity to throw it over his outside shoulder rather than his inside shoulder and could have protected against that ball being batted away. If that play hit, we would be talking about his performance a lot differently. Still, 7 for 10, a nice day, ends up throwing a nice touch pass for a touchdown, really leaving it up for Romeo Doubs to go out there and make a play. It was nice that the defender was essentially face guarding Romeo Doubs, so pretty low risk throw, nice, touch on that ball. And, Love slung some balls in there in some tight spots. There was one play where he, broke contain, came out, rolling out to the left, and really drilled a ball into a tight window to Romeo Doubs earlier. So seeing a variety of different, throws out there is a nice thing for him too. He did miss a wide open Luke Musgrave though, which, so far, it sounded like Matt LaFleur kind of called that out in his press conference early on after the game. But the offense, the first unit, goes out 2 drives, 1 touchdown amongst them, and they're off to a nice start. That's all they did. Sean Clifford then came in, and Sean Clifford was really pretty surprising to me. If you've been to the channel before, you'll know that I was generally thinking Alex Magoo was going to have a bit of a head start on Sean Clifford, as he was a bit more of a developmental player, but he went out there and slung it. He's a bit of a maverick kind of out there. He's throwing that ball around, and he's got the moxie and poise that he's coming back after he makes a mistake. He threw 2 interceptions, not the end of the world, but immediately after his second interception, he was out there slinging the ball right away again. Because after that second interception, we had a turnover, and the first play back from that one, he drills this ball into a really tight window between, I believe it was 3 defenders to Dontavion Wicks, and we're just flipping the script. I tweeted out that, essentially that is how you capitalize on that momentum that you just gain and keep that momentum flowing in your favor after a turnover. Ultimately very impressed with Sean Clifford's performance. Was it perfect? By no means. But he went out there and he was well composed and held it together, and they moved the ball well with that second team under Sean Clifford's command. The defense out there was very opportunistic. So Carrington Valentine gets his interception, in his hometown of Cincinnati. Nice play for him on a tipped ball. Bit of a tip drill. Same with the next one, where actually Brenton Cox had tipped the ball or batted the ball at the line of scrimmage, which led to a Dallin Leavitt interception. Some nice plays on the defense. A few guys kind of stood out to me along that defense, including Carrington Valentine making some nice plays. I'm interested to go back and see exactly what Shamar Jean-Charles did out there, but I noticed a few times like he was involved, he was in the mix, especially in run support and up towards the line of scrimmage, which I thought was pretty encouraging, especially because we haven't heard a whole lot about Jean-Charles so far in camp. On the Bengals side of the ball, if you were watching a Bengals broadcast as I was, you heard the name Iosivas a lot. Like the receiver from Princeton, like he looked the part out there on the field, and for being I believe it was like a 4th or 5th round pick, the dude was out there making some plays and really like making a name for himself early on. It's just like his physical prowess stood out on the field. So he's a name that I'm going to kind of be interested in watching to see how he produces throughout the year. And then I guess on the special team side of things, not a whole lot of great takeaways from the return game so much, except for a nice return from Samori Toure. That was, I believe, about like a 50-yard return. Really drove that one down the field. It was a nice recovery after he muffed one earlier in the game, in the return game. And then the dreaded kicking woes that we saw. So it was encouraging that, he hit his first extra point and then hit a 45-yard field goal. But Anders Carlson then followed that up with 2 missed extra points. So there's still a lot of work to be done there. And, I'm not hitting the panic button yet. But it does always seem that when he misses, he's pushing the ball wide right. It's something that hopefully, working with the special teams coaches and everything, that he'll be able to push through and fix. But it is a little bit concerning. And how could I forget the running back 3 battles? So Patrick Taylor had a few nice runs out there. And as we know, Patrick Taylor is kind of probably towards the front of that pack for the running back 3 position. Everybody's been hyped on Tyler Goodson, myself included. Didn't see as much out of him, but I do believe he had that 1 touchdown that he scored decisively in the second quarter. But Emmanuel Wilson, this guy stood out. And it was actually turned out that it was, I believe it was 14 years to the day that he had lost his father, and today was his first NFL experience. So really playing, with his heart on his sleeve out there, and really happy for the young man that he got out there and balled out the way he did, and really I think got a lot of people's attention. So I was not expecting a whole lot of Emmanuel Wilson. We've seen, some flash a little bit here and there in practice, but like that dude, he's got some wiggle to him. He ran the ball very tough, but he also, on that long gainer, he showed that he had some breakaway speed that, guys were not catching him on that run. So I'm really excited to go back and watch him specifically in the game tape tomorrow and kind of see how he held up in, pass support, and then also, on special teams if he had any reps there as well, to really kind of see, is this guy, rising up the ranks, and is he going to potentially be that running back 3 for the Packers? But ultimately, those are my initial quick reactions. I thought the defense played overall well, and the offense moved the ball nicely throughout the night. Really like that defense, kind of the fact that they held them to field goals throughout, with I believe the only touchdown they scored came off of an interception return for a touchdown from Sean Clifford. So overall, solid defensive performance today. The offense moved the ball really nicely, put up some points, as is evidenced by their 36-point total. And I look forward to going through and rewatching and bringing some more deep dive analysis on this game as we head deeper into training camp and get closer to the regular season.